And good morning to you lovely people in the east, and good evening to you lovely people in the west. I am Boki Ken. Welcome to Elevator Hour. Yeah, I know it was Precept reading first and Elevator Hour, but I am deciding to do the Elevator Hour first. But it wouldn't even be nearly an hour because I'll be using a playlist of said artist for uh, that has 17 soundtracks. And today's artist is by yours truly, Cactushead Lounge. So I hope you enjoy Elevator Hour with me. And don't worry, I'll be in the side chat responding to you guys. So I hope you enjoy this playlist. Enjoy Beyond the Vibe, and let's continue.
Spamming.
Oh gosh, okay. What have I done?
Go.
one. I know, Soba below.
It's popping.
Oh gosh, okay. What have I done?
Go.
Okay, and that was Cactus Lounge. Check out his YouTube channel. I have pinned it on the side chat. You can take a look at that yourself for more of his amazing compositions. And now, as promised, I will be proceeding with the precept reading. And in this part, this will also serve as a chance for open mic, so that I mean, there's not much to exposit. I mean, you let we let the statistics actually speak for itself. So here's the link if you guys want to come in. Link is in the description. Link is in the side chat. Just gonna pull this up real quick. All right. If you guys want to chime in, feel free to do so. If no one else is gonna chime in for now, I guess I think I'll do reading. Start the reading. Okay. So here we have comparing lifestyles of homosexual couples to married couples. So this research was conducted by Timothy J. Daly, PhD, Senior Fellow, Center for Marriage and Family Studies. Married and gay couples not all that different proclaimed the headline of a news article portraying homosexual households as remarkably similar to married couples. We're the couple next door, claimed one partner homosexual. We have a dog and a cat. I drive a Volvo. I'm boring. Such down-home portrayals of homosexual couples are meant to provoke the question: since gay couples really differ only in that both partners are of the same sex, what rational basis exists for denying them full marriage rights? Are homosexuals are homosexual households, as the article suggests? Disclaimer, guys. Before I continue reading this, I am not using this to attack the LGBT community or a certain group of people. This is just merely reading document and this or let's say bivariant, uh, or I think this is multivariant. This is just for the sake of reading this multivariant study conducted, and this is not used to attack or rhetorically provoke any of the any other group or the LGBT community itself. But we're just going to be going through some statistics. So, so let me continue. Are homosexual households, as the article suggests, simply another variant of human relationships that should be considered, along with marriage, as part of mainstream American society? On the contrary, the evidence indicates that committed homosexual relationships are radically different from married couples in several key aspects. One is relationship duration, monogamy versus promiscuity, relationship commitment, number of children being raised, health risks, rates of intimate partner violence. Finally, this paper will present evidence from gay activists themselves, indicating that behind the push for gay marriage lies a political agenda to radically change the institution of marriage itself. Relationship duration, gay activists. Oh, no. Okay, so first is we have relationship duration. Gay activists often point to high divorce rates and claim that married couples fare little better than homosexuals with regard to the duration of the relationships. The research, however, indicates that male homosexual relationships last only a fraction of the length of most marriages. Married couples. A 2001 National Center for Health Statistics study on marriage and divorce statistics reported that 66% of first marriages last 10 years or longer, with 50% lasting 20 years or longer. So, as you can see here, more than 50%, 20 years. And you have the other one for just 10 years, 66%. So the source is National Center for Health Statistics. A 2002 U.S. Census Bureau study reported similar results with 7.7% of women married between 1970 and 1974 reaching their 10th anniversary, and 57.7% staying married for 20 years longer. Right. The percentage of marriages reaching stated anniversary. Okay. So yeah, there is a 80% have 10 years. Excuse me, I'm recording a video right here. I don't take too kindly to notifications and text. Anyway, so you got 80% of people reaching their having anniversaries for like 10 years, then 30, and for 30 years that's less than 60%. It's 57.7%. Okay, male homosexual relationships. The 2003 to 2004 gay/lesbian consumer online census surveyed the lifestyles of 7,862 homosexuals. Of those involved in a current relationship, only 15% describe their current relationship as having lasted 12 years or longer, with 5% lasting more than 20 years. While this snapshot in time is not an absolute predictor of the length of homosexual relationships, it does indicate that few homosexual relationships achieve the longevity common in marriages. So, 1 to 3, length of current relationships, 31% have relationships lasting for 1 to 3 years, and you have less than one, only 11% lasting less than a year. Yeah. And the sexual organization of the city, University of Chicago's sociologist Edward Lawman argues that typical gay city inhabitants spend most of their adult lives in transactional relationships or short-term commitments of less than 6 months. A study of homosexual men in the Netherlands, published in their journal AIDS, found that the duration of steady partnerships was 1.5 years, a year and a half. In this study of male homosexuality and Western sexuality, practice and precept in past and present times, Pollack found that few homosexual relationships last longer. Again, few homosexual relationships last longer than 2 years, with many men reporting hundreds of lifetime partners. Again, many men reporting hundreds of lifetime partners. In male and female homosexuality, Sager and Robbins found that the average male homosexual live-in relationship lasts between 2 and 3 years. Monogamy versus promiscuity, sexual partners outside of the relationship. Lest anyone suffer the illusion that any equivalency between the sexual practices of homosexual relationships and traditional marriage exists, the statistics regarding sexual fidelity within marriage are revealing. Married couples, a nationally representative survey of 884 men and 1,288 women published in the Journal of Sex Research found that 77% of married men and 88% of married women had remained faithful to their marriage vows. I'm going to have a small trajectory here. Okay. If you guys want to chime in, the link is there. I pinned it, or you could just scroll back up. I could also use some help reading, like, I mean, we could use other voices here too, but sure, I'll continue with this by myself too. So, a 1997 national survey appearing in the Social Organization of Sexuality, Sexual Practices in the sorry, my Steam window opened. I'm sorry. Again, a 1997 national survey appearing in the Social Organization of Sexuality, Sexual Practices in the United States found that 75% of husbands and 85% of wives never had sexual relationships or sexual relations outside of marriage. Again, 75% of husbands and 85% of wives never had sexual relations outside of marriage. A telephone survey conducted for Parade magazine of 1,049 adults selected to represent the demographic characteristics of the United States found that 81% of married men and 85% of married women reported that they had never violated their marriage vows. Now, in regards to male homosexuals, research indicates that the average male homosexual has hundreds of sex partners in his lifetime. The Dutch study of partnered homosexuals, which was published in the journal AIDS, found that men with a steady partner had an average of 8 sexual partners per year. So it kind of explains the hundreds of sex partners in their lifetime. Bell and Weinberg, in their classic study of male and female homosexuality, found that 43% of white male homosexuals had sex with 500 or more partners, with 28% having 1,000 or more sex partners. In their study of the sexual profiles of 2,583 older homosexuals published in the Journal of Sex Research, Paul van Duven et al. Found that the modal range for number of sexual partners ever of homosexuals was 101 to 500. In addition, 10.2% to 15.7% had between 501 and 1,000 partners. Again, 10.2% to 15.7% had between 501 and 1,000 partners. A further 10.2% to 15.7% reported, and I put this in red letters because this is big, 15.7% reported having had more than 1,000 lifetime sexual partners. A survey conducted by the homosexual magazine Genre found that 24% of the respondents said that they had had more than 100 sexual partners in their lifetime. The magazine noted that several respondents suggested including a category of those who had more than 1,000 sexual partners. Commitment in male homosexual couples. Even in those homosexual relationships in which the partners consider themselves to be in a committed relationship, the meaning of committed or monogamous typically means something radically different than in heterosexual marriages. A Canadian study of homosexual men who had been in committed relationships lasting longer than 1 year found that only 25% of those interviewed reported being monogamous. Only 25% is monogamous. According to study author Barry Adam, gay culture allows men to explore different forms of relationships besides the monogamy coveted by heterosexuals. So, this quotation alone, explains why you have these homosexuals, gays or lesbians, having a lot of sexual partners within their lifespan. Look at all that. Just imagine Just imagine how many how many basketballs that have went under that hoop. Anyway, the Handbook of Family Diversity reported a study in which many self-described monogamous couples reported an average of 3 to 5 partners in the past year. Lesbian and Peplau observed a similar pattern. In the male couple, authors David P. McWhirter and Andrew M. Madison reported that in a study of 156 males in homosexual relationships lasting from 1 to 37 years, only 7 couples have a total sorry, only 7 couples have a totally exclusive sexual relationships. Only 7 out of 156 males, only 7. So the rest of the 149 are not monogamous. And they may say that they're monogamous, but every Saturdays or every weekends they're going out in swinger parties and just having a big giant orgy or having a lemon party. And what I mean by lemon party is that you have old men just quote unquote enjoying their company. Stated another way, all couples with a relationships, and these men all have between together for less than 5 years. Stated another way, all couples with a relationship lasting more than 5 years have incorporated some provision for outside sexual activity in their relationships. As the following chart shows, the extremely low rate of sexual fidelity among homosexual men, again, extremely low rate of sexual fidelity among homosexual men dramatically contrasts with the high rate of fidelity among married heterosexuals. So, according to these statistics, it's the heterosexuals that get it right. Don't blame me, blame the statistics. Take it with them. Take it with Mr. Timothy Daly. And second, this is what's being manifested. He's not just saying this. So this is the source of this table. You can find it here in this source. According to McWhirter and Madison, most homosexual men understood sexual relations outside the relationship to be the norm. So you can see why that out of 149 males in here, particularly, they are not monogamous because of this right here. It's the norm to go out and explore themselves. Uh, I'm sorry. Anyway, in their Journal of Sex Research study of the sexual practices of older homosexual men, Paul Van de Ven et al. Found that only 2.7% of older homosexuals had only one sexual partner in their lifetime. This is so homosexuals being just as good as committed married couples is closely myth. This is closely a myth. This is borderline not true compared to the other 96.3% of all this, or the 97.3% of all that. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat. Anyway, Brad Hayton provides insight into the attitudes of many homosexuals towards commitment and marriage. Homosexuals are taught by example and believe that marital relationships are transitory and mostly sexual in nature. This is what they live by. Well, according to Brad Hayton, of course. Sexual relationships are primarily for pleasure rather than procreation. Well, of course, you put your Hungarian on another man's cream pie. It doesn't do anything. It takes two to tango, but the other one has to be different from what you are. Yeah, like it's obvious. Men cannot procreate with men. It has to be man and woman. And they are taught that monogamy in a marriage is not the norm. See? This explains why you have homosexuals, gay or lesbian, having a lot of sexual partners. Okay? And monogamy is not the norm and should be discouraged if one wants a good marital relationship. Really? While the rate of fidelity within marriage cited by these studies remains far from ideal, there is a significant difference between the negligible lifetime fidelity rate cited for homosexuals and the 75 to 90% cited for married couples. This indicates that even committed homosexual relationships display a fundamental incapacity for the faithfulness and commitment that is axiomatic to to the institution of marriage. Level of commitment in homosexual relationships. If homosexuals and lesbians truly desire the same kind of commitment signified by marriage, then one would expect them to take advantage of the opportunity to enter into civil unions or registered partnerships, which grant them legal recognition as well as the legal rights of marriage. However, surprisingly few homosexuals and lesbians choose to enter into such legally recognized unions, where such arrangements are available, indicating that such couples do not share the same view of commitment as typified by married couples. Yeah, each and every one of them has their own idea of this word. So, Vermont, in April 2000, the government of the state of Vermont signed a law instituting can't read right now, civil unions for homosexuals. The bill conferred 300 privileges and rights enjoyed by married couples upon same sex partners who register their relationship with the town clerk and have their union solemnized by a member of the clergy or the justice of the peace. Estimating the homosexual and lesbian population of Vermont. The number of homosexuals and lesbians in the state of Vermont may be estimated based on national studies. Contrary to the widely promulgated but inaccurate claims that up to 10% of the population is homosexual, research indicates that homosexuals comprise 1 to 3% of the population. For example, a recent study in demography, relying upon three large data sets, the General Society Survey, the National Health and Social Life Survey, and the U.S. Census, estimated the number of exclusive male homosexuals in the general population to be 2.5%. This is very few. And the number of exclusive lesbians is only 1.4. Again, borderline myth that a married homosexual couple is just as good as a married heterosexual couple. According to the 2000 census, the adult population of Vermont is 461,304. Based on the demography study, a reasonable estimate of the number of homosexuals and lesbians in Vermont would be approximately 5,000 to 600, which is 2.5% of the adult male population. For male homosexuals, and approximately 3,300, 1.4% of the adult female population. Again, borderline myth. For lesbians, for a total of approximately 8,900 homosexuals and lesbians. So yeah, he just basically did the math here. Note, however, these are only rough approximations for purposes of statistical comparison. Okay. Number of homosexuals and lesbians in Vermont who have entered into civil unions. USA Today reports that as of January 2004, only 936, this is pretty old, but still, only 936 homosexual or lesbian couples, for a total of 1,872 individuals, have entered into civil unions. This indicates that only about 21% of the estimated homosexual and lesbian population of Vermont has entered into civil unions. Put another way, 79% of homosexuals and lesbians in Vermont choose not to enter into civil unions. By contrast, in Vermont, heterosexual married couples outnumber cohabiting couples by a margin of 7 to 1 indicating a much higher level of desire on the part of heterosexual couples to legalize their relationships. For purposes of comparison, it may be useful to examine two countries that have granted special rights to homosexuals, including marriage like civil unions, which grant gays and lesbians virtually all of the rights of marriage. In Sweden, in 1995, the year I was born, Sweden passed the Registered Partnership Act, which created civil unions for homosexual couples. In 2003, the law was amended to give registered homosexual couples the same right to adopt or have legal custody of children as married couples. The percentage of homosexual or lesbians in Sweden that enter into civil unions may be estimated as follows. What happened here? Here you go. Estimated homosexual and lesbian population of Sweden. Extrapolating from the extrapolating from the demography estimates in the U.S., a similar percentage of the homosexual and lesbian population of Sweden would be approximately 140,000, which is 2.5% of adult male population, of 3.5 million, and 1.4% of the adult female population of 3.6. Number of homosexuals and lesbians in Sweden who have registered their unions. The number of registered same-sex unions in Sweden is reported to be about 1,500 for a total of 3,000 individuals out of the estimated homosexual and lesbian population of 140,000. This indicates that only about 2% of Swedish homosexuals and lesbians choose to enter into legally recognized unions. Put another way, about 98% of Swedish homosexuals and lesbians do not officially register as same-sex couples. The Netherlands. A landmark law allowing same-sex marriage was instituted in the Netherlands on March 31, 2001, with a highly publicized communal ceremony that included 2 lesbian brides and 6 homosexual grooms. The Netherlands instituted a registered partnership law in 1998 that accorded legal status to homosexual relationships similar to that of marriage. The new law, which explicitly recognizes same-sex matrimony, is restricted to Dutch nationals. However, as the following analysis shows, the percentage of homosexuals and lesbians that have entered into marriage like civil unions is very low. Estimated homosexual and lesbian population of the Netherlands. Extrapolating from demographic figures for homosexuals and lesbians in the U.S., a similar percentage for the Netherlands would be 242,000, which is 2.5% of the adult male population of 6.1 million, and 1.4% of the adult female population of 6.3. Number of Dutch homosexuals and lesbians who have registered their unions. A news report with the Gay Financial Network predicted that some 10,000 gay couples could be married in the first year following the legalization of gay marriage in the Netherlands. In reality, far fewer chose to solemnize their relationships. Now, let's regale ourselves back to what we previously read. Monogamy is not the norm. They have each and every single one of them have a different take of commitment. And monogamy is looked on as oppression. And you have to explore yourselves and each other, quote unquote, explore. The Office of Legislative Research released a report in October 2002 stating the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs reports that 3,383 of the 121,766 marriages licensed between April 1, 2001 and June 30, 2002 involved people of the same sex. Thus, as of October 2002, only 2.8% or 6,766 individuals out of an estimated homosexual and lesbian population of 242,000 have registered their unions as married. Here you go, guys. Here you go. The much more lower rates of homosexual and lesbian civil marriages in Sweden and the Netherlands must be viewed in the light of much lower marriage rates in both of those countries, a trend that the introduction of gay marriage in the 1990s has not reversed. Thus, as writer Stanley Kurtz argues, the granting of marriage rights to homosexuals and lesbians has further undermined the institution of marriage. Again, the granting of marriage rights to homosexuals and lesbians has, quote unquote, further undermined the institution of marriage. Scandinavian gay marriage has driven home the message that marriage itself is outdated, quote unquote. Again, Scandinavian gay marriage has driven home the message that marriage itself is outdated and that virtually any family form, including out of wedlock parenthood, is acceptable. So much for commitment, right? Now, this may be old, but this is telling me that gay relationship or gay marriages, and you're telling me it's not, it's just as good as it's just as good as the heterosexual relationship would. No, I mean, we've already read a lot, and it's just telling me otherwise. And today, it's no different. It's not. They can tell you that it is. They can say, with the help of the cultural changes, it's going to be the same thing. Conclusion: level of relationship commitment among homosexuals. Data from Vermont, Sweden, and the Netherlands reveal that only a small percentage of homosexuals and lesbians identify themselves as being in a committed relationship. In contrast, as what we read a while ago, most homosexual relationships are short-term commitment or transactional, with even fewer taking advantage of civil unions, or in the case of the Netherlands, of same-sex marriage. Yeah, there's no, I mean, you already have the government on your side, but 98% of you, or most of you, don't care about that. It's the same thing. This is not about, this is not about, this is not about being oppressed or the government doesn't accept you. No, they have given you every medium to do so, but most of you don't. You don't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing the last few years, and it's the same thing today. You're not about, it's not about, well, some of you, but that some only accounts to what, 2.7, 3.5, or out of the 100%, it's only 5% of you. That's borderline myth that a married couple, that a married homosexual couple is. I'm not saying that there exists no committed relationships for homosexuals. In fact, there is, but it's a small number because by vain philosophy, a lot of you are just short-term committed and transactional. That's most of you. You're going to hate me for reading this? Well, tell you what, I didn't conduct this research. And I know I'm reading this, but know this, I'm not attacking you guys or anything. But if you're going to tell me that you're being oppressed and the government doesn't favor you, you're not just lying to me, you're not just lying to yourselves, you're lying, but you're having the whole community lie to one another. Okay, so I'm going to do a small interjectory here. Let's see. Oh, nice try with the disclaimer, but anything but celebrating them is considered an attack on them by the big gay lobby. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter with the. It doesn't matter what disclaimer I put. They're gonna see this as an attack, and they're gonna flag down this video. My intentions are clear. I'm not using this to attack them. Yeah, Nicky D. That's a lot of. It's a lot of pooper scoopers. I'm sorry for the word, but that's the idea. Also, also bakers too, if you know what I mean. Anyway, number of children being raised in homosexual households. Inflated statistics for homosexual households in the United States. Claims regarding the numbers of children being raised in homosexual and lesbian households vary widely and are often unsubstantiated. According to a study on homosexual parenting in the American Sociological Review, researchers have given figures of uncertain origin, depicting a range of 6 to 14 million children of gay or lesbian parents in the United States. According to the study's authors, Judith Stacy and Timothy J. Biblars, the higher estimates are based upon classifying as a lesbi gay, sick, or otherwise called as sick, I think, classifying as a lesbi gay parent anyone who reports that even the idea of homoerotic sex is appealing. Instead, the authors favor a figure of about 1 million, which derives from the narrower definition of a lesbian gay parent as one who self-identifies as such. However, even the lower figure of 1 million children being raised in a gay and lesbian households does not stand up to statistical analysis. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that there are 594,391 same sex unmarried partner households in the United States, 301,026 male homosexuals households, and 293,365 lesbian households. This indicates that only 1% of the total 59.9 million households contain same-sex partners. Assuming the Stacy slash Biblars estimate that 1 million children have a homosexual or lesbian parent, this would mean that, on average, every homosexual household has at least one child. However, the 2000 census figures show that only 33%, or 96,810, of female same sex households and 22%, or 66,225, of male same sex households have their own children living with them. The 163,035 same sex couples, or 326,070 individuals, comprise only 8% of the estimated homosexual and lesbian population. Put another way, 92% of the estimated adult population of homosexuals and lesbians in the U.S. do not live with children. By comparison, the 2000 census showed that 46% of married couple households have at least one child living in the household. However, the figure underestimates the total number of married couples who have had children, as many older couples have grown children who are no longer living at home. Estimated United States homosexual population. So here you are. Here's the stats, guys. White bar represents homosexual lesbians living in households with children. This constitutes to nearly 1%, or merely beyond 1%. The gray, homosexual lesbians living in partnered households. And this is the entire homosexual population. Very few. Let me catch my breath first. Okay, I'm gonna take a break for a bit, so I'm gonna stop sharing the screen first. So if anybody wants to chime in, I'm sending the link here. You guys want to chime in? It would also be good that others can also read for me. I don't know why, but I'm getting a headache from just simply reading. I'm not even thinking about it. Oh, Gavin's in the house. Hey, Gavin. And what up, Jesse? Don't put your thingy in the ringy. Stop. Stop it. Stop it, Shep. I already said that I'm not trying to attack or make fun of them, so don't. Okay. I guess. Stop it. Okay. Well, again, link is in the Link is pinned. If you guys want to come in. Oh gosh. All right. I'm gonna unpin that one first. Nope. Pin that, and I show it. Yeah. So link is in the description, in the side chat. You want to come in or not? Also use some help in reading. Also, it's also nice to hear different voices too. Oh, someone was in here. Oh, it's Gavin. Hey, Gavin.
Shalom, 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 Bucky. How are you?
Gavin, I can't hear you.
Hold on.
Gavin. Hang
Any
on.
better? Any better?
I mean,
Hello,
your
hello,
output is.
hello,
Hang on. Let me try and. Okay, Gavin. Talk again.
hello. Test, 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 test.
Oh, hang on.
Hello,
Automatically adjust volume.
hello, hello, hello.
Gavin, I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me
Okay.
well? Hang on. That's weird. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me well? Hang on. What is wrong with this app? That's weird. I mean, I'm literally on the. What is wrong with this app? It's weird. So I can hear Gavin from the video, but I can't hear him in my neck of the woods. Let's see. Maybe if I. Who's muting my? Hang on. Let me try something here. Okay, sounds good. Audio. Okay, Gavin, can you speak to me again? Gavin? Gavin? Okay, this it's weird. I can't hear you guys from my neck of the woods. I don't know why. StreamYard isn't helping me right now. Gosh darn it. Okay, like try re-entering and I'll add you back in. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Hmm. What's going on? Hmm. Okay. Did I mute this one? Hang on. This tab is what? Yeah, okay. So I don't know why. Hang on. Audio, hotkeys, layouts, general. Huh. Can any of you guys try entering the stream? Oh, hey, dude. Yeah, I'm just doing a. I'm also going to be doing a reading. I'm just doing a precept reading concerning poopers coopers. Okay, so here comes Gavin. I'm going to try adding him back in again. Gavin.
Shalom.
Okay, that's better. I hear you now.
Great, great. I just restarted my phone, brother.
I see. I thought
So
it was me having the problem. Yeah.
no, it's always me. It's always me.
Okay. Well then.
What's on
It's
the
okay,
menu?
dude. Huh?
What's on the menu today?
Oh, we're doing a precept reading on comparing the lifestyles of homosexuals to married couples. It's homosexuals versus heterosexual relationships, basically, and it's a multivariate study, and it's very well done.
Very good. Very good.
All right,
Um,
cool.
I guess it goes without saying that the results of the study would not be favourable to the same-sex couples.
Yeah, it's not like the. I mean, I'm not saying this, okay? I mean, take a look at this, right? I'm not the one saying this, or I'm not the one telling people to go out and do this. This is exactly what they're doing, and then their idea of commitment is a whole lot different. I mean, they have their own sense of commitment. So you could so and let's say in the 5%, they do what true commitment is as defined, but 95% have different takes of commitment, and they go about exploring one another, quote unquote. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Gavin, if you could do the honors, I would like you to continue the reading for me. We are now in the implications for homosexual parenting. It's nice to also have different voices too.
Oh, hang
I'm gonna
on.
zoom. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom it
Hold
in
on.
a bit more so that you could see it. There you go. Uh,
I'm on my phone, Bucky.
oh, that's okay. You know what? Forget it. I'll do the reading instead. I'll do the reading
Sure,
instead. It's fine. Okay.
sure.
I thought you were in your laptop or whatever, but
No,
yeah, I'll
no.
continue.
I don't have a laptop. All I've got is a phone.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay, brother. That's okay. Let's
Yep.
just continue on with the reading. Okay. And
Yep.
we're just gonna take breaks in between, and let's give our takes on this one. Okay. So let's get ready. So, as where we left off, the Stacy slash Biblars estimates may include children being raised by single homosexuals, some of whom are raising their own biological children conceived in a previous heterosexual relationship. Nevertheless, these calculations indicate how absurdly inflated most of the estimates are concerning the number of children being raised by homosexuals. Far from being the proven success that some claim, homosexual parenting remains very much the exception rather than the rule. Implications of homosexual parenting. Gay activists attempt to minimize the differences between homosexual and heterosexual households in order to make homosexuality look as normal as possible. Hey, Dave, what's
There
going
we
on?
go. Roll on
What's going
highway,
on?
roll on along. What's up? I was just talking to some. I was just talking to a couple of new guys.
Oh,
They were on
cool.
Rebecca's
Yeah.
channel.
Oh, cool.
That's
Yeah. You guys were talking about like materialism or whatnot, something
all
like
different
that. They
shit.
brought it up.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really a nice little get together. They were on Rebecca's channel, and Rebecca was getting done, and I just said, "Come on over if you want to," and we were just kind of hanging out. I did a lot of broadcasts today. I was on the computer quite a bit today, more than I normally am.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. Shayla,
Shalom, Dave.
welcome.
Shalom,
Hey man,
Dave.
what's up?
Ah, same.
Yeah,
So shall we continue with the reading?
yeah.
Let's
Have at
say.
it. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just came here to hang out and just be quiet in the background. I'll be in the background.
All right. Sure. Okay. Let's continue. Shayla, yeah, this is what you would call extra, extra biblical studying, but nothing to do with the Bible at all. Let's just say, like, I don't want to be like putting, I don't want to be relating the two, but let's just say if we were to give biblical precedence, then maybe this is a thing that over and over in scripture, this is kind of something that we should avoid or at least mitigate. So here we go. My beautiful tulip. I mean, not
Hey,
tulip, damn
quick
it.
question, Boki.
Yeah, sure.
Not a quick question, but did you see my new license that I got today?
Oh, no, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I didn't chime in.
Oh shit! You know what? Um, where is the damn thing? Here it is. You want to
You
see
want me
it?
to share? Sure.
Real
Share
quick,
it
I'll
there.
just show you.
Open it up.
Yeah. Check this out.
All right then.
It's my new
Oh,
license.
hey, what the hell? What the?
I got it from Veckel. Veckel made that.
Veckel made this?
Yeah, he actually made it on his thing. I thought it was kind of funny anyway. You know, he put it up on his video right in the beginning today. I think it's kind of comical, actually. Really, you know that
Well,
it
well,
does look
Veckel's a
funny.
good sport. Veckel's a good sport. I'll give him that. He's a good sport.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Okay.
not bad.
Wow.
It is kind of comical.
Now that is what you call a piece of art. He actually, I mean, the guy is a good sport. So
Yeah, I'll have
shall
to
we
admit
just
it.
continue?
You know, I mean, we get all mad and shit and get stupid, but you know, it is kind of funny. I can laugh at this. I really can.
Sure. Okay, so
All right, I'll let
let's
you get back.
continue.
I just wanted to give you a little deviation there, mix it up a little bit. You know how it
Yeah,
goes.
sure. No problem. Yeah, no
All right.
problem. Gavin, your device is not connected. Maybe you want to work on your headphones first. Yeah, your device is not connected. Okay, there you are. You went away there for a bit, Gavin. Gavin?
Gavin.
Well,
Go
anyway, I'll
on.
just
Gavin, I got bigger tits than you do, you know. Is that Gavin they always make into the tits?
that was him.
Yeah, that is him. Hey, they make fun of him too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
they're making fun of him. I mean, as long as
Right.
you're associated with their opponents, then yeah, you're an
Right.
enemy too. So
Whatever.
okay, so let's continue. Let's continue. Implications for homosexual parenting. Gay activists attempt to minimize the differences between homosexual and heterosexual households in order to make homosexuality look as normal as possible. However, as already shown, only a small minority of gay and lesbian households have children. Beyond that, the evidence also indicates that comparatively few homosexuals choose to establish households together. The type of setting that is normally prerequisite for the rearing of children rather. The Human Rights Campaign, a homosexual advocacy organization, claims that the U.S. population of gays and lesbians is 10.4 million, or 5% of the total U.S. population, only 18 years of age. However, as we have seen, the best available data supports a lower estimate of 2.5% for male homosexuals and 1.4% for lesbians. So this is like 3.9 of all of them. This would lead to a figure of approximately 4,040,000 homosexual men and women in the U.S. population. Thus, only about 30% of homosexuals. Hang on, Gavin got back in. Gavin.
Hello.
Okay, good. So you got your mic fixed. Yeah, let's continue. Cool. So where were we? Oh yeah. Thus, only about 30% of homosexuals, which is 1.2 million out of some 4 million, choose to live in a household with a person of same sex. See? Somehow even kids don't want to be paired with dad and dad, or want to be associated with dad and dad, or mom and mom. The above indicates that only a small minority of gays and lesbians choose to live in partnered relationships, and furthermore, only a small percentage of partnered homosexual households actually have children. The evidence thus does not support the claim that significant numbers of homosexuals desire to provide a stable home for children. Health risks. Even those homosexual relationships that are loosely termed monogamous do not necessarily result in healthier behavior. The evidence indicates that homosexual and lesbian relationships are at far greater risk for contracting a life threatening disease compared with married couples. The journal AIDS reported that men involved in relationships engaged in anal intercourse and oral anal intercourse with greater frequency than did those without a study partner. No, without a steady partner, sorry. Anal intercourse has been linked with a host of sexually transmitted diseases, including AIDS. The exclusivity of the relationship did not diminish the incidence of unhealthy sexual acts, which are commonplace among homosexuals. An English study published in the same issues of AIDS concurred, finding that most unsafe sex acts among homosexuals occur in steady relationships. Steady relationships. A study of steady and casual male homosexual relationships in Amsterdam found that steady partners contribute to HIV incidence more than casual partners. This can mainly be explained by the fact that risky behavior with steady partners is much greater than that with casual partners. 30 versus 1.5 UAI, unprotected anal intercourse, acts annually. Wow. These findings confirmed an earlier study by the Dutch Department of Health and Environment, which found that 67% of HIV positive men aged 30 and younger had been infected by a steady partner. So even if you guys have a steady relationship or a committed relationship, well, you're not doing much. You're not doing much for the population for yourselves too, because you're just contracting these ones. I'm not the one saying it. This is the statistics. The study concluded in recent years, young gay men have become more likely to contract HIV from a steady sexual partner than from a casual one. Exclusive lesbian relationships also at risk. The assumption that lesbians involved in exclusive sexual relationships are at reduced risk for sexual disease is false. The journal Sexually Transmitted Infections concludes the risk behavior profile of exclusive women who have sex with women was similar to all WSW. One reason for this because lesbians were significantly more likely to report past sexual contact with a homosexual or bisexual man and sexual contact with an IDU, intravenous drug user. Greater risk for suicide. Okay, so this is no myth at all. Like when you have like some sort of a identity crisis because monogamy is not the norm, and you guys get to have your own sense of commitment, and that you should explore one another and explore yourselves too. Yeah, I think this is it. This is more psychological than it would, and that is a byproduct of the lifestyle that they enter. So let's go. Homosexual and lesbian relationships experience a far greater rate of mental health problems compared to married couples. A twin study that examined the relationship between homosexuality and suicide, published in the Archives of General Psychiatry, found that homosexuals with same sex partners were at greater risk for overall mental health problems and were 6.5 times more likely than their twins to have attempted suicide. The higher rate was not attributable to mental health or substance abuse disorders, intimate partner violence, lesbian and homosexual relationships. Research indicates very high levels of violence in homosexual and lesbian relationships. A study in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence examined conflict and violence in lesbian relationships. The researchers found that 90% of the lesbians surveyed had been recipients of one or more acts of verbal aggression from their intimate partners during the year to this study, with 31% of reporting one or more incidents of physical abuse. In a survey of 1,099 lesbians, the Journal of Social Service research found that slightly more than half of the lesbians reported that they had been abused by a female lover or partner. Hold on, hold on. Abused? Excuse me? The researchers found that the most frequently indicated forms of abuse were verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, and combined physical physiological abuse. Wowzers. Can you imagine? I mean, get this right. You have Pride Month, they parade that shit, and they're all happy go lucky and, making fun of our God, but somehow in closed doors, this is something they're not telling us. A study of lesbian couples reported in the Handbook of Family Development and Intervention indicates that 54% had experienced 10 or more abusive incidents. 74% have experienced 6 or more incidents. 60% reported a pattern to the abuse, and 71% said it grew worse over time. Wow. And they're out there parading as if it's all unicorns and rainbows. But that's not what's really happening, is it? In their book, Men Who Beat the Men Who Love Them, Battered Gay Men and Domestic Violence, Island and Letelier postulate that the incidence of domestic violence among gay men is nearly double that in in the heterosexual population. Gay and lesbian versus other opposite sex intimate partner relationships. Surveys conducted by the U.S. Department of Justice confirmed that homosexual and lesbian relationships had a far greater incidence of domestic partner violence than opposite sex relationships, including cohabitation or marriage. The National Violence Against Women Survey, sponsored by the National Institute of Justice, found that same sex cohabitants reported significantly more intimate partner violence than did opposite sex cohabitants. 39% of the same sex cohabitants reported being raped, physically assaulted, and or stalked by a marital cohabitating partner at some time in their lifetimes, compared to 21.7% of the opposite sex cohabitants. So meaning 78.3% are are not abused of the opposite sex cohabitants. Among men, the comparable figures are 23.1% and 7.4%. There you go, guys. Lesbians, cohabitating married women, homosexual men, and cohabitating married men. Look at that. Now, there's less cases of rape. The lesbians are doing it more. But there is more cases of physical assault. And who's leading that? Lesbians. So the ones that are total of all victimized. And lesbians are the contributor of that one. See that? Like, like this is something you can't make up. This is something that you can't make this up. This is incredible, dude. Like astounding, and I mean that sarcastically. Marriage versus other types of intimate partnership relationships. A Bureau of Justice Statistics, an agency of the U.S. Department of Justice, report found that married women in traditional families experienced the lowest rate of violence compared with women in other types of relationships. Women who were not married to their intimate partner were cohabiting experienced a rate of violence 4 times higher than that of married women. Well, look at this. There's more physical violence contributed by the lesbians. Now, 11.3 per thousand versus 2.6 per thousand. So there you go. More partner violence. And it's mostly the females that are at the losing end. And this is not good. This is not good at all. Even if they're married, look. See? Homosexual and lesbian couples versus married couples. When homosexual and lesbian relationships are directly compared with married couples, the difference in the domestic partner violence is pronounced. See? Married women, married men, lesbians, homosexual men. There is more abuse here. Now, after all this, why do they want to redefine marriage? So, by their own admission, gay activists are not simply interested in making it possible for homosexuals and lesbians to partake of conventional married life. Rather, they aim to change the essential character of marriage, removing precisely the aspects of fidelity and chastity that promote stability in the relationships and the home. Paula Edelbrick, the former legal director of the Lambada Legal Defense and Education Fund, has stated, being queer is more than setting up house, sleeping with a person of the same gender, and seeking state approval for doing so. Being queer means pushing the parameters of sex, sexuality, and family, and the process transforming the very fabric of society. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we have restrictions. That is why there's a limit to do. There's a limit. And they weren't meant to hinder progress, but to this was meant to tell us that too much of everything is bad. I mean, look at that. So it's not about being oppressed. It's not about an advocacy. This is I mean, they are advocating, but look, but that's just one person. Oh, but then again, 90. But then again, previously what we read, yeah, they're mostly transactional and short term. So yeah, they're just they. I mean, they're pulling our leg. Like there's like this is something that it's not made up to, and second of all, they're the ones entering in this lifestyle, not we. And because of that, consequence being, this is what has been manifested. We're nearly done. Look at this. But there's more to it. Now, homosexual writer and activist Michelangelo Signorile speaks approvingly of those who advocate replacing monogamy with sexually open relationships. Again, advocate replacing monogamy with sexually open relationships. For these men, the term monogamy simply doesn't necessarily mean sexual exclusivity. Wow. The term open relationship has for a great many gay men come to have one specific definition. So mind you guys, each and every one of these homosexuals have their own term of commitment. Well, not each and every one. Let's say, oh, yeah, forget it. Each and every one of them has a specific one. And here's what he says: a relationship in which the partners have sex on the outside often put away the resentment and jealousy and discuss their outside sex with each other or share sex part. Wow. So basically, based on the study, you guys are also just a bunch of cucks. Unbelievable. The views of Signorelli and Edelbrick regarding marriage are widespread in the homosexual community. According to the Mendola report, a mere 26% of homosexuals believe that commitment is most important in a marriage relationship. Former homosexual William Aaron explains why even homosexuals involved in committed relationships do not practice monogamy. In the gay life, fidelity is almost impossible. Since part of the compulsion of homosexuality seems to be a need on the part of the homophile to absorb masculinity from his sexual partners, he must be constantly on the lookout for new partners. Wow. Consequently, the most successful homophile marriages are those where there is an arrangement between the two to have affairs on the side while maintaining the semblance of permanence in their living arrangement. The evidence is overwhelming that homosexual and lesbian committed relationships are not the equivalent of marriage. Yes, because marriage is exclusive. In addition, there is little evidence that homosexuals and lesbians truly desire to commit themselves to the kind of monogamous relationships as signified by marriage. What remains, then, is a disturbing possibility that behind the demands for gay marriage lurks an agenda of undermining the very nature of the institution of marriage. So this is an unloving thing to do. And that's it. That's literally it. And I'm going to read this over and over again. Wow. Wow. I just I am I am just I am just astounded. This is now telling me that just ignore any euphemistic and any anecdotal idea or push for it, because behind the scenes that is what they want to do. That is their culture. Okay, so open discussion. You're free to unmute your mics if you got something to say. I'm done with my diatribe.
It'd be great if you could put the link to that study somewhere on your YouTube account, Boki. because that's some good, really good, solid information, especially if it's a multivariate study.
Hmm. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is, yeah, I'm gonna put it in the, I'm gonna put it in the, I'm gonna put it in the side chat, or let's say if I'm gonna make another video, I'm gonna post a link into that, and they can download it. I have the file that was given to me by the one who must not be named.
Is there a date on that paper, on that data? Is it dated?
Um, uh, no, but no,
That's fine. That's
it's not
fine.
dated.
It won't be hard to find out what date it was written. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I came across a lot of datas, and then yeah, the study, the statistics are very old. But even if it was outdated, then you can't tell me that you can't tell me that the same thing that happened 17 years ago is not the same thing happening now, because that is their culture. So just ignore any anecdote and euphemistic messaging about all that, because even if what they said was of old, that doesn't mean that what they said is diminished. That's history, and right now history is repeating itself.
Yeah, and history can't be changed.
You can't. I mean, just imagine, like, they're telling themselves that they're oppressed. Well, maybe they're right. Perhaps they're right, because guess what? They're getting abused. They contribute to diseases. They contribute to identity crisis. They contribute to a lot of heartaches. And they have a false definition of love. They have a de facto version of love. It's not love that they're looking for, it's something else. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. Like, after all I've read, come on.
Yeah.
This is literally them. That's what they're doing. And I'm not making that up. The researcher was not making that up.
No. If it's a multivariant study, then it'll just be hard data. That's all it is. It's just they're just counting the beans. That's all they're doing. But
Yeah, they're
it's an important amount of beans that they've counted.
yeah, but can you believe it, Gavin? You're, I mean, when you look at the LGBT and their parades, it's all unicorns and rainbows. They're happy, they're accepting, they're inclusive. But but in closed doors, wow. And you know who's at the losing end when it comes to abuses? The woman.
Of course, of course. The LGBTQ community, as they call it, is it's a tiny substrata of people. It's not as widespread and as populous as it's made out to be. It's a tiny substrata of men and women.
Yeah, it's just for some reason they managed to make it to the media.
Because it's what do journalists call it? Journalists have this catchphrase: if it bleeds, it leads. So the more sensational, stunning, attention grabbing a news item will be, the further up the food chain it'll be featured. When's the last time you turned the TV on and the headline news was a really feel good story of maybe one person who was honoured for maybe the 30 or 40 years they had put into helping homeless people. When's the very last time you ever saw that as headline news?
Never.
Never.
We don't do that. We
No,
don't.
no.
Yeah, because they have to maintain an image.
True, true. And
Yes.
pain and misery gets views. That just
Hmm.
shows you how fallen our world is.
True. I mean, wow.
It's
I mean,
horrid.
can you imagine, like, for biblical precedents, good becomes bad, and bad becomes good. What we've read is beyond bad. It's worse. Heartbreaks, psychological illnesses,
Yep.
STDs, and the high propensity of ending up with a colostomy bag and a black eye too, and some cuts in here and there, or scars, not just physically but mentally.
Yeah.
And this has been continuing, and here you are having them whine and complain about, oh, the government is sexist, oh, we're oppressed. No, well, yeah, you're probably oppressed because you guys you're getting into this lifestyle that is self-destructive, and guess what? You're parading it.
Yeah. I've got a survey that I'll dig out. I'll actually email. I'll WhatsApp it or email it to you or something. But it's a survey of it's focusing particularly on adult gay males, and
Mhm.
they surveyed. This is a US study only, so it's not global, but it's representative, you know. So it's a US study, and they surveyed a number of gastroenterologist surgeons. So these are guys, these are medical dudes, surgeons who specialize in the stomach, the intestine, everything to do with what gets expelled out of your body, this kind of thing. And by far, I'm not making this up. By far, the greatest proportion of patients they had that were suffering from anal cancer was gay
Right.
men. There were other people, like I know my uncle. My uncle, he actually died from this disease some years ago, but he was a heterosexual male all his life, you know. But
Mhm.
the prevalence of anal cancer is much higher amongst gay men than it is amongst heterosexual men.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm just astounded. Dave, you got something to say about this? I mean, this is open discussion right now. I don't know. Maybe Dave stepped out.
No, I'm getting ready for. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get ready to do a pre. I might preach on Matthew 1 through 7 and Galatians, the whole book.
Oh, good. I might catch up there later. But right now we're just doing a open
Yeah, you were
forum.
talking about the queers and stuff. There's a whole bunch of trouble with that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I mean,
you, you
I
know,
caught some of it. I was doing some dishes, but you were talking about. I don't know. I guess there's all sorts of. Uh, well, they're receiving in themselves the recompense of their error, which was meat. MEET, suitable. You
yeah,
know,
that's
men with
true.
they're catching disease, all over the place.
Yeah, and they're the main contributors of that too, concerning HIV and
Oh,
AIDS.
we're in trouble with all sorts of stuff now. Yeah, it's terrible.
It's the end times, folks. It's
It's
the end times.
the pestilence. Time for pestilence.
Hmm.
When you get a chance to look up words, if you're looking up English words, look them up in that uh, Noah Webster's
Yeah, Noah Webster. Yeah.
1828 dictionary. Make yourself a link for that. It's really handy to use that because it's just
Sure.
they show you some biblical usages sometime. It's just another good source for learning words.
Cool. Yeah,
Comes in handy.
I'll give that a look-see doodle. Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
I was broadcasting a lot today, and I'm still like thinking about stuff, and it's like I'm kind of
Well, if
wore
you
out.
ever are gonna
I should
sure.
probably
Well,
go lay down. I might actually just lay down, put a lid on it. I started a new broadcast. I didn't turn it on yet. I might just re-up it for a time way ahead of it, but for tomorrow morning or something. Because I am getting kind of tired.
I'm gonna take a
I'll
break
see how I
first.
feel. I'll see how I feel.
Yeah, well, if you need to take a break, I mean, yeah, go to sleep, Dave. I mean, sure.
Yeah, I think I am going to take a break, brother.
All right, so if that's the case, I'm gonna shut this down. So, you guys have any final words?
No, I'm just TRED.
All right.
That's fine, Dave. That's fine. Take a rest, brother.
You bet, Gavin. Have a good one.
God
Have a
bless
good
you,
I
one,
never
Dave.
brother.
talked to you much. You're the guy that they pick on, right? You're the other guy. Don't they? Is this
Well,
the Gavin they pick on? They make pictures of
yeah,
you
yeah,
and stuff? Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
That's me. That's me.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
They only do it, Dave, because they know they can get away with it.
Didn't you used to be a moderator on Smokey's channel? Moderator?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you were one of the top moderators over there, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm model over the place.
Yeah.
Hang on, guys. I'm gonna pull up a photo, and
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm just gonna
Okay,
pull up a
Shay.
photo. Pull up a photo. Like this is something that I guess uh, if I can't find a picture with the quotation that he has, then I'm just gonna open a picture of him, and then I'll just reiterate what he said. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time, um, introducing Mike Tyson. Now, it's inevitable that we will find bullies in the internet. However, much like his punches, his words also strike true. And you know what he says? He says, "You all are so used to talking trash at people and not getting punched in the face for it." That's what he said.
He's a tough guy yet in his old age.
I'm gonna knock his teeth out. I'm gonna
My
bite your
friend,
ear out.
I got a close friend over here that him and his whole family, they invited me to go down there because they're friends with him and go to his house. I could go to his house next time if they wanted to take me down there. I could go have dinner with him.
Cool.
Anytime I want, I can go. Anytime they go, I can go.
Cool.
I've been invited to Mike Tyson's, but I never go. I'm gonna relax. I'll be in the background.
All right. Well, again, the guy here says, "You guys are so used to talking trash in the internet that you're not getting punched in the face for it. So eventually you'll get your eventually you guys pointing fingers in the dark, you'll get yours. And it doesn't have to be Mike Tyson's haymaker to make you stop. I just pray it's not. I just pray that it's something else, and it shouldn't be bad. I hope. I don't know. I mean that depends, right? And how much judgment you stack on yourselves, but sure. So
Bucky,
yeah,
but Bucky, the Lord is going to rebuke those who are not conducting
Stop.
themselves
Mhm.
in the way they should.
Yes, I believe that, and then that's what makes God sound and righteous. But Gavin, let us also be careful that we don't end up in the receiving part of that one, because guess what? We can fall into that category too, and God shows no partiality in judgment.
Absolutely. One of the greatest quotes from C.S. Lewis was this, and this is for hopefully I'm not one of these people. This is for religious bigots, people that look down their nose at other people or point fingers at other people. When you're looking down your nose at other people, you can't be looking up above at what's up above you. So that was the quote.
Awesome. Yeah,
It's a good quote,
that's
eh?
true. Yeah, Yeah, that's true. Yeah, having a trash beneath my feet attitude is not good. It's not good at all. It's not humbling and it's not healthy too.
No, no.
It's
God
not.
opposes the proud, but shows favour to the humble. That's taped to my bathroom mirror, Boki. I see it every day. A constant reminder. Constant reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Proverbs, the one thing that God hates like very much is pride.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
It
anyway.
leads. It leads to all sorts of things that are not good, not helpful.
Hmm. Well, I'm about to shut it down. So, any final words, Gavin?
Yeah, I could give you a very short history of why society is like it is today. Probably
Sure, go
take
ahead.
me probably take me 10 minutes though. It's not short.
Okay,
It
go
might
ahead.
take five. Might take 5 minutes.
Sure, go ahead, Gavin.
Okay. Okay. So if anyone's interested, and I'm just talking about Western culture here because I'm not including Eastern culture in this, but um, when we consider what culture was like in the first century with the early church and what our culture is like today in the 21st century, obviously there's huge differences. And just setting aside the technological differences and advantages and all that sort of thing that we enjoy today, let's just focus on what was inside the minds of the first century Christians and what's inside the minds of most people today. Most people. I'm not going to say everybody, but most people. So there was three. There was three. Well, there was three huge events that occurred in our history and mankind's history, and if you add the Reformation, that could be four. But the three most major events that shifted our focus from the community and the wider body of Christ, and then shifted that focus from the community and the wider body of Christ and shifted it inward to oneself, to the individual, started just after the Middle Ages, and that was called the Enlightenment. And that went from roughly 1685 to 1815. So, um, the significance of the Enlightenment period is that it shifted um, the West cultural focus from the community, where you kind of knew everybody, but you also there was a line. You know, you didn't you knew everybody, and you had a sense of care for everybody, but you didn't uh, have your nose in everybody's business. So they took the words of Scripture very seriously to care for the weak, for the oppressed, for the forgotten, for the poor, for the lonely, for the defenseless, all this kind of thing. Um, but this is not to say now when the cultural focus changed from the community and the wider body of Christ to the individual self, this is not to say that the individual um, that there was a lack of concern for individuals in ancient times, because there wasn't, you know. But in the ancient world, here's the key. Here's the key. In the ancient world, individuals were always understood in their relation to their larger group. So if you're an individual, whether you're a Gentile or a Jew, you were your place in society or your standing in society or just your mere presence was always contrasted with how you how with how your group was envisaged. Yeah. So, like for Israel, for example, this Israel was always known as being the people of God. In the Old Testament, the idea of election, I'm not talking about the Reformed version of election, but in the Old Testament, the idea of election was centered on belonging to the elect people, and God chose the Israelites to be his elect people. And there's a number of different reasons that have been postulated for this. One of the best reasons I've heard is that at the time, Israel was like the hub of the entire known world, because to the north of Israel was Europe and Russia. To the west of Israel was the Americas. To the south of Israel was Africa, and obviously to the east of Israel was India and the Far East. So God commissioned the Israelites to go and spread the gospel, share the good news. So in ancient times, as an individual, you were always identified with the group that you belonged to. In the New Testament, it turns out that Israel kind of, in a sense, Israel dropped the ball with their commission that God had given them to go and spread the gospel everywhere. So God, in his omniscient knowledge and exhaustive foreknowledge, said, well, if you can't get your act together, then I will include the Gentiles. I'll include the non-Jews to go out and spread the good news as well. So the spreading of the gospel and the preaching of the gospel was now not limited to just the Israelites. It was also inclusive of the Gentiles, the non-Jews. In the New Testament, an individual would join, if you were a Gentile, a non-Jew, you'd join the people of God through faith in Jesus and the gift of the Spirit. But the overarching focus was still on the group, and that group was the people of God. If you became a Christian in ancient times, you became one of the people of God. In other words, the focus was not so much on one individual's isolated one-on-one relationship, but rather it was on persons as they were part of the community. The Enlightenment period, to its credit, it taught the church how to read the Bible, to become literate, but it actually did a poor job of interpreting the Bible as it should be interpreted. So that's one major shift. It was the Enlightenment period. So 1685 to 1815, there's a big shift in our Western culture. The second big shift that came along, and also remember too, during the Enlightenment period, the Reformation happened with Martin Luther and John Calvin, Theodore Beza, and all those dudes. The second big shift came in the 19th century, and obviously that was the Industrial Revolution. Now this was a really radical shift in our Western culture, because prior to the Industrial Revolution, one statistic from the United States shows that in 1885, about 85% of all consumer goods that were consumed in the United States, they were all produced and consumed in the home. So consumer goods up until 1885 were all made from these small cottage industries that developed in the homes and this kind of thing. So everyone had a cottage industry that they kind of made a living from. But in just 30 years, by 1915, so if we go from 1885, where 85% of all consumer goods were made in the home, then we go to 1915, just 30 years later, it's only a generation, 30 years later, that figure had been virtually reversed, because now only 15% of goods were now made in the home and cottage industries, and 85% of all goods consumed in the US were made in the factory. So, in a sense, our society today in the 21st century is a fruit of that 30-year period. This stunning reversal is now firmly established in modern America, and also, in our modern world, first world nations. And its effects continue to reverberate throughout our Western culture's understanding of the family, home, and church. Now, let's just think about this. This revolution in industry continues to reverberate throughout our Western culture's understanding of the family, home, and church. Think hard about this. Think about the traditional way a family used to be set up. Husband would marry a female. She would become his wife. They would have a family. The husband would work. He would continue to work. The mum would be mum, and she would be at home raising the children, keeping the house clean, tidy, keeping the children safe, and doing the things that mothers do. But today we see women placing a greater emphasis on themselves and their abilities in terms of career first, family second, or career first and no family whatsoever. That's not a particularly good thing. Not a particularly good thing. We also see today two parents working, and they're kind of forced into that position of working, particularly if they have a mortgage, because they need to have that income to be coming in to the household to service the mortgage. So children tend to be not looked after by mum because mum is working, but children are in daycare centres or in centres that look after children before school, or the kids are at school and mum has a job that allows her to be home for the kids after school, or sometimes not. Okay, so we had the Enlightenment, then we had the Industrial Revolution. Now, the next major shift, and we're still under the yoke of this, and it's called the Postmodern Revolution. And this took part from the 1940s onwards. And what this postmodern revolution did, it shifted our Western culture understanding of authority from something that was located outside of ourselves. So I'll say it again. The postmodern revolution. Music, Bucky. Hang on, I'm almost finished.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm almost finished.
Okay.
So the postmodern revolution took place from the 1940s onwards, and that its major shift in our culture's attitude and understanding was that it shifted our individual concept of authority from something that was located outside of ourselves in the sense of God and religion. So the postmodern revolution took away that sense of an authority outside of ourselves, namely in the form of God, our creator, and religion, and it shifted it inward to ourselves. So the postmodern revolution tended to emphasize the fact that authority resided in something that was within us. So with the postmodern revolution, the thinking was that instead of looking to an authority outside of ourselves, as in God and religion, what we needed to do was look towards ourselves, us, for that authority, because there was something, so the thought was, and still is, amongst atheists, is that there is something inside of us that is the final or ultimate authority. So what we've got today in the 21st century, we've got we have this culture that presumes that there's something inside of us that presumes we have the ability to determine absolutely everything ourselves. The shift in our cultural focus now looks at us inwardly, at ourselves, and presumes or assumes, and we all know what happens when we assumes that we have the ability to determine absolutely everything. I mean, for goodness sake, we've put men on the moon, you know. We must be greater than God. So this postmodern revolution argues and pushes for this agenda that what is inside of us is the ultimate authority. There's something in us that is ultimate and is the most highest authority. And this is played out in all sorts of extreme examples, and I'll give you one obvious extreme example. Bucky, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still with you. I'm listening.
Okay, Bucky,
Right.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Sure.
You tell me what would be the most obvious example from, I'm talking from a female's point of view, the most obvious example of self-centered, self-absorbed, self-serving decision making. What would be the one thing that would what would be the one action that would speak about those three things that a woman can do? A man can't do it, but a woman can do it. Only a woman.
Damn. This is hard.
So
Okay.
no, I'll say it again. Okay, because maybe I wasn't so clear. So only a woman can do this, right? Men can't anatomically do this, right?
Mhm.
So it's a decision that only a woman can. Well, it's a decision a woman can make, and it's extremely self-centered. I'm going to say usually. I'm not going to say every time, but I'm going to say usually it's extremely self-centered. It's self-serving. It's convenient, right? It's convenient. And it seeks to appease or satisfy the woman only. Nothing else is considered. So what do you think that one action is that only a woman can do? Men can't do it.
I would say come on, I got this.
You got it, Bucky. You got it. Only a woman is anatomically built to do this.
Gosh. Anatomically, what can they do?
Well, men can't do it, Bucky, but only women can do it.
They can get pregnant? Oh.
Well, that's true. Women can get pregnant, but what can women do?
Abort. They can abort.
That's it. bang on, 100%, 100% bang on. So you got it in one. So this result of this postmodern revolution that started in the 1940s is played out to ridiculously extreme examples. And the one example that's so obvious is the subject of abortion. Now, I know there are people who are going to argue abortion should be legal and it should be safe, but it should be rare. And look, I'm on board with those people as well, particularly when it comes down to medical reasons. But I'm talking about medical reasons where if the child, if the developing child was taken to full term, either mother's going to die or the baby's going to die or both of them are going to die. And even then, there's many instances where that hasn't happened. But on the whole, 80%, the US data is that 80% of abortions are performed for the sake of convenience. It's like a last chance contraception. So, as I said, with the postmodern revolution, we have this idea or this agenda pushed onto us that there's something inside of us that is of the highest value, that is the ultimate authority. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. But this is what's been pushed. And this is why we have a culture that we have today. With abortion, for example, the pro-choice people, the advocates of abortion, are already born. In case anyone missed that, have you ever noticed that all the pro-choice people are already born? The pro-choice people, the pro-abortion people, they are pathologically concerned and fixated on an individual's choices and their rights to their own body. And virtually nothing else is taken into account, particularly the baby, who is innocent. The baby didn't ask to be formed, and the baby is more than a clump of cells. This is what the pro-choice and pro-abortion side try to do. They try and dehumanize a developing baby like the Nazis did with the Jewish people in World War II. So they refer to a developing baby as just a clump of cells. However, when conception happens, there is brand new DNA that is formed, and that is brand new DNA that will never, ever, ever be seen again in this world. So it's brand new. It is the very genesis, if you like, of a developing human being. So that's about it, really. That's kind of more than enough to talk about. So there's been three big shifts in our Western civilization: the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and the Postmodern Revolution. And all of this has taken society's focus away from the community and the wider body of Christ. It's taken the focus away from those two things and turned the focus back to the individual. And it's saying that there is something inside of us as sentient human beings. There's something inside of us that is special, and inside of us is the ultimate authority. And that is the biggest lie that our culture has kind of bought, lock, stock, and barrel. So I'll yield there, Bakey. That's enough.
Hey, dude, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's really ironic, right? You got to wonder that the reason why they're able to speak for, why pro abortionists speak for abortion is because they weren't aborted. That's the reason why they get to talk about it. So it's really funny, right? So you are here talking about advocating abortion because there were people before you who spoke against it, who spoke against the very thing that wouldn't allow you to live. and would not have given you the chance to advocate pro-abortion. You're right. The ones who are advocating pro-abortion are already alive.
Yeah. And one of the major threads, I mean, there's many threads that run through the Bible, but one of the major threads is the sanctity of life. The sanctity of life is one of the major threads that runs through the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible are you going to find God instructing, allowing, or condoning abortion. The word abortion doesn't appear in the Bible, obviously, because back in in the ancient
It was
world,
unthinkable back in the
abortion.
day.
Yeah, well,
It was
abortion just wasn't the word. Abortion just wasn't a word. I mean, women would miscarry. Okay, that happens. Unfortunately, women would miscarry. Um, but if yeah, just
well,
it's just
again, if there are instances where the Bible talks about miscarriage, it's not prescriptive; it's descriptive. And second, there is a huge difference between an abortion and a miscarriage. And a miscarriage is involuntary.
correct. Yeah, you're
Mm,
right. You're right. You
mhm,
did right.
sure.
So so that these these are these are kind of huge events that happened in our Western societies or Western cultures history that changed the focus or the collective thinking of us from the wider community and the wider body of Christ onto the individual. And whenever that happens, all right, when that happens, when you're looking inward all the time, then you're not looking out for your neighbor or for who is weaker, who is poorer, who is more downtrodden than you, who is lonely, who is hungry, who is homeless, who is in prison, or who is sick. You don't see those people when you're so obsessed and focused on yourself.
True. Yes, that's actually very true. And
I
I've
think
fallen
so.
into yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think so.
oh like well in my angle, of course, like I've fallen into that period. Then I decided to look past myself and think about. I mean, there are literally people out there who wish they could live the life that I am living right now. I may complain about it, but you're right. There are homeless people, poor people, people that lost everything, and yet they I can tell that they and then I could tell that they wish they were me because I'm at a more privileged state right now. I'm not saying I'm better than them, but my point is that if they could choose a situation where they're in right now, where they want to be, let's say it would be me because I am not experiencing a degree of hardship that they're having. And the funny thing is here I am sometimes complaining that this is the life I live. Like I can't do a lot of things, but you know what? I should be thankful
Yeah.
because there's people who wish to live the life I have right now.
Yep.
hmm That which is not good to actually compare yourselves to others or say, "Man, I wish I was like that guy." Because to be like that guy, you got to go through what they've been through.
Yep.
I mean, Jordan Peterson also said that there's a danger of comparing yourself to others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember the parable? Remember the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector?
Yeah, Luke 18, verses 10 to 14.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. So
hmm
we don't want to be like the Pharisee. It's better. It's better to be like the tax collector because then we're always looking up. We're always looking up to what's above us, and God is what's above us.
Amen. Amen, brother. Well, okay, I'm going to have my final words. Everybody, don't take your salvation for granted. Dave, thanks for coming in here. Gavin, thanks for coming in here. I will be streaming again. I just don't know when, but you will know once I schedule another. So thank you for chiming in, guys. Peace of Christ be with you. And I'm ending the broadcast in 3,